And talking about Canadian dollar, counterparty risk again, what Justin Trudeau did to people's bank accounts in Canada a couple of weeks ago or so. That's a red flag, if ever there was one, also for counterparty risk, and for the fact that they can turn you off whenever they want. Another reason to be outside the system. Wednesday, March 2nd, 2022, Monaco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. Today we're going to look at counterparty risk and how, in my opinion, that is the biggest threat to financial wealth right now, and especially paper wealth, wealth in the financial system, of course. Before I start though, yes, I was out most of the afternoon yesterday, and I saw, of course, how well gold and silver did, how well the miners did, the gold and silver miners did. Yes, I'm aware of what's going on in the world, and I feel a lot of sympathy for the people on the ground. And I'm seeing comments like, it's a shame that gold and silver have to go up in this kind of environment. Well, to be honest, I don't feel bad about it. There's more, of course, to having financial security and money in life, and it's not the most important thing. I think your spiritual well-being is much more important. Love, charity, what else? Gratitude, and also tolerance are the most important things. And yes, prayer as well for the people in Ukraine, but not just Ukraine, all around the world who are suffering and have been suffering since time immemorial is the most important thing. And I'm going to recommend a YouTube channel, and I think they read one of the articles I did about the World Economic Forum back in June of 2020, and about the reset and what was going on. And they did a video about it, and I think they got millions, like 20 million views on that video about the World Economic Forum. And I'm happy that they were able to learn from that, from my article. Or I think I also did a video and someone sent them that. And I was told that this YouTube channel, The Remnant Video, got the idea from my video. And I've been in contact with Michael Matt, who runs Remnant Video. So I'm going to recommend the channel. They have 264,000 subscribers. It might not be for some of you. It might be for others. But they did a very good, or Michael Matt did a very good video on February 28th, The Errors of Globalism, Russia, Ukraine, and the Suicide of the West. So I recommend that video, and I recommend you also subscribe. And you'll know what I mean by the spiritual well-being. You have to be well within yourself as well. It's not all about the money and getting rich quick, of course. The money is there to help you help others and help yourself, your family, and be a nice individual. Unfortunately, I can't do anything to help to change what's happening. The Caesars and the pharaohs of the world are too powerful for me, but I can I can hopefully have helped you financially in the last few years if you've followed, not my advice, but followed my opinion about what was going to happen. And before we get to counterparty risk, yes, we're going to hear a lot about the fact that the current crisis, the previous crisis that we've forgotten about now, they're going to be the ones to blame for the collapse of the currencies in the West, and most of the world. I would say all the world, because they're all fiat currencies. But yes, and a lot of people, unfortunately, are going to buy into it. They're not going to look underneath the surface, how we've been looking for over 6 years. And we it's not that we have a crystal ball that we forecasted that. It's just looking at the actions of our monetary and political and business leaders. They've taken us down that road. And how have I figured out that this would happen to the currency? I didn't know what events would trigger it, of course, or not trigger it, but unravel it. Well, through a lot of research, a lot of reading, and a passion for learning about money, monetary history, inflation, and a passion for money. I don't mean a passion for having money, but understanding it. So enough of that. So before we go into the counterparty risk, I want to read a quote by Alan Greenspan. And I'm not going to judge him. Yes, it's very easy to judge people, but sometimes it's better to look at what they say than rather to judge them. So this is what he said. Gold still represents the ultimate form of payment in the world. Fiat money in extremis is accepted by nobody. Gold is always accepted. So, counterparty risk. What is counterparty risk? Well, is having a counterparty, someone else, between your wealth and you. And that's what the financial system is all about. It's having your funds in the bank. It's having your funds in a stockbroker, because you need to, you're investing in the stock market. And it's also counterparty risk is also Euroclear and Clearstream, which are companies I've known about for many years. When I started out in the markets, I came to London. I was living in Switzerland, but I came to London for an internship at a Eurobond trading company, and I learned all about Euroclear and Clearstream. They're just like, they settle trades in the international bond market, and they just shut off ruble denominated bonds for all investors. And they just did it like that. There's just so people who had billions of dollars, or hundreds of thousands of dollars, or tens of thousands of dollars in ruble bonds, well, that money right now is frozen, and investors have no idea what's going to happen to it. So that's counterparty risk, and that's coming from a clearer. It's not even the bank. You might have those bonds with a bank. So it's getting really, it's a time of extreme events. The whole international order is, something is going on. It's changing, and yes, unraveling the old order. Are we getting a new world order? Well, we're not going to get into that, but we're going to get some new kind of order. And counterparty risk is going to be, well, it's crazy. And so foreign investors, I think, according to this article in the FT, have about 41 billion in ruble denominated bonds. So that's counterparty risk. And that's why having a little bit of physical gold and silver outside the system is so important. Yes, my miners did very well yesterday, and they're doing very well year to date. But I'm aware that something could happen to the broker that I have my miners with, my stocks with. Something could happen to the bank that they use, because don't forget, brokers are not banking institutions. They have bank accounts too. So you have to keep that in mind. Yes, very dangerous times. Am I going to get rid of my miners and buy physical gold and silver because I'm concerned about counterparty risk? No, because I've positioned myself, I think, I hope, well enough that if that were to happen, the physical gold and silver that I have will still protect me. So you need to weigh that yourself, do the analysis yourself of how you want to balance your wealth, and whether what I would say is if you had $10, I would probably just put $1 in paper assets and miners, and the rest in physical gold and silver, maybe a little more if you want to, but don't do it the other way around. That's what I would I wouldn't do that. So yes, counterparty risk is getting to be a bit of a problem, I would say, and I think that's why we're seeing hard assets go up so much. And of course, we're going to be told that the reason for the inflation that we're going to see, and unfortunately, that's the other thing. I hope that I've helped enough people to get their financial house in order, because I think the cost of living, all these crises we've had in the last couple of years, that's going to get even worse with what's going on in the world. It's not going to get better. That's the feeling I have. Yeah, it's a feeling, but when you read the mainstream media, when you listen to politicians, and things are unraveling very quickly. The world is in a state. I don't have to listen to President Biden to know what the state of the union is, or the state of the world is. It's probably better off not to listen to him. So now we will go and look at the markets. It's 8:20 a.m. London time, so Billy and I got up a little earlier today. Just to touch upon silver, I've heard a lot of people talking about COMEX silver, that there's going to be a failure to deliver for the March contract. Apparently Bix Weir is looking into that. Apparently in the first day for delivery in March, usually 90% of the silver is taken for delivery, and this time it hasn't happened. Only 10% of the silver has been taken. I don't know what's happening. I don't have any contact with the big banks or people who trade on COMEX. I can only speculate. It could be just an anomaly, or it could be the fact that the longs that want the silver to be delivered, they've been told you need to wait because we're having problems sourcing it. And that could be so. But the other thing I would say, I saw a headline yesterday. Mexico declines to join Russia's sanctions. President López Obrador says his country won't take part in trying to punish Moscow over its attack on Ukraine. What's that got to do with silver? Well, Mexico is the biggest silver producer in the world. So if they don't play ball with the US and the Anglo-American Empire, who knows what could happen to Mexico? They could be sanctioned. They could be turned off from the international system. And again, Russia is the fourth biggest producer of silver. So a lot happening. So to the markets then. Spot gold is down $7, 1937.40. The high's been 1948 and the low's been 1930. So yes, we broke through decisively yesterday through that 1920 level. I still expect a lot of volatility, but I have a feeling that it's going to get very hard to get real physical gold and silver in the coming weeks and months, maybe even years. And what about the paper game? Well, I haven't seen the commitment of traders reports. Don't really follow them too much. But when things are like this, they could cover everything up. They could use FASB 56 because it's not just for the government that they can hide what they're doing financially. When there's national security at stake, big corporations can do the same. So I don't think we should really care too much about what's happening on the COMEX, but more what's happening in the real world. So anyway, the high yesterday I think was around the same level. So it looks like 1950 now is the key resistance, and above that 1975. Silver really motored yesterday, of course. We were up 4% at one point, up over $1. Right now, we're down 25 cents or a percent, sorry, at 25.12. Range has been 25.45 to 24.94. The Dow futures is up 130 points, a third of a percent. NASDAQ is up 44, a third as well. S&P 500 is up a quarter at 43.18. The FTSE is up 1% at 73.95. The German DAX is down 0.5% at 13,870. So to the currencies, sterling is down 0.2, 132.97. The euro is down a quarter at 110.94. The dollar is up 0.25% versus the yen at 115.23. The dollar is down a little bit versus the yuan here at 631.46. Aussie dollar is unchanged, 72.55. The dollar is down 0.25% versus the Canadian dollar, 127.09. And talking about Canada, Canadian dollar, the counterparty risk again, what Justin Trudeau did to people's bank accounts in Canada a couple of weeks ago or so. That's a red flag if ever there was one, also for counterparty risk, and for the fact that they can turn you off whenever they want. Another reason to be outside the system. Kiwi dollar is up 0.2 at 67.66. And now to the general commodities. And you can bet they're going to use the move in crude oil that we're seeing now to, they're going to blame crude oil for the inflation, just like they did in the 70s, even though the inflation, as we know, per the definition of it, the creation of money and credit out of thin air by the state, and that is the central banks and governments. That's what causes rising prices. It's not crude oil, but they'll have a very good cover now. A lot of people are going to buy it, and that's why I don't watch the mainstream media, because I'm sure that's what they're saying. They're going to blame it all on the crisis, all on you know who, and you know what before you know who. So right now, WTI crude is up just under 6% at 108. So the high is 110 WTI. Brent is even worse. We got up to 112.5. Right now it's at 110.56. High-grade copper is down 0.1% at 459. U.S. nat gas is up 3% at 472. To finish off, the Treasury or bond markets, they're all over the place, especially the last couple of days. There's been a short squeeze. There's been a lot of people that are short Treasuries, and now the prices are rising very sharply. I think we've dropped almost 40 or 30 basis points in the last 2 days in the long end. So that doesn't help either, the volatility. But right now, the 10-year yield is up just about 2 basis points at 173, and the 2-year is up 4 at 134. So the 2-year, I think Friday last week, was up above 160, and now we're at 134. These are huge moves. Yeah, so there you go. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit the like button. Please share it far and wide. Think about subscribing to my channel if you haven't yet. And you can also follow me on Rumble, Twitter, Facebook, and all these other platforms below here. I wish you all a great day. Take care. Bye.